had President Zelensky, in my view, kind of holding his ground, defending his country, and frankly, all democracies. I want to get your reaction to what you observed. Donald Trump was attacking Ukrainian President Zelensky in the Oval Office with J.D. Vance, laundering talking points, seems directly from the Kremlin.
I was horrified and sickened by it. I think about what other generations of Americans have done, going off to war in World War II, fighting for our freedom, fighting for democracy, fighting for our values.
Trump just screamed at the president of a country fighting for its survival, not some enemy, our ally, Ukraine. Zelensky came to the White House looking for support and left being called a dictator by our former president. Adam Schiff is calling this what it really is, a gift-wrapped present for Putin. When Trump yells at Ukraine and repeats Russian talking points, who's really winning? This isn't just embarrassing, it's dangerous for America and the world. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. When a president throws a temper tantrum in the Oval Office, you'd expect it to stay behind closed doors. But Trump's meltdown with President Zelensky just leaked, and folks, it's way worse than anyone imagined.
A country that brutally invaded its neighbor, that has massacred tens of thousands of people, that has kidnapped children, that is torturing POWs, that's the guy they're defending. To see them so utterly betrayed in this meeting, it is just really incomprehensible. To have the President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States siding with the Kremlin dictator, regurgitating, and they're abusing the President of Ukraine, Zelensky, who was forced to defend himself, defend his country, and all in the service of what exactly?
Remember when presidents used to, act presidential? Those days are officially over. During what should have been a routine diplomatic meeting to finalize a mineral rights deal between the US and Ukraine, Trump decided to turn the Oval Office into his personal scream therapy session. Let's break down what really happened when these two leaders met. Trump didn't just disagree with Zelensky, he went full nuclear, calling the Ukrainian president a dictator. Yes, you read that right. Trump called the democratically elected leader of a country fighting for its survival a dictator, while basically giving Putin a verbal foot massage. The irony meter just exploded.
Or I don't know what, but whether this was a deliberate sabotage, an orchestrated sabotage, or whether a small, petty, weak president, Donald Trump. The mineral rights, is that what this is about? That President Trump is upset he didn't get the mineral rights to Ukraine? Are we that transactional? Does nothing matter to us but some kind of protection racket? Was just offended that the president of Ukraine stood up for his country. I don't know, but we are going to be living with the consequences of this for a very long time.
But wait, it gets better. Trump actually wagged his finger at Zelensky and shouted, "You don't have the cards right now with us." Nothing says diplomatic genius like threatening an ally whose country is being invaded. Trump then accused Zelensky of disrespecting America and being ungrateful, because apparently when your country is being bombed, the polite thing to do is just say thank you and shut up. The most jaw-dropping moment came when Trump started channeling his inner Putin. He literally told Zelensky to stop criticizing the guy who invaded his country. Trump instructed him, he's got to say, "I want to make peace." He doesn't have to stand there and say about Putin this, Putin that, all negative thing. I'm sure Putin was somewhere in Moscow popping champagne and doing a little victory dance.
The destruction of your country.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
You bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent?
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
Trump's claim that Zelensky is gambling with World War III is straight out of the Kremlin's playbook. It's the exact talking point Putin has been pushing for years to scare Western countries away from supporting Ukraine. It's like Trump was reading directly from Putin's cue cards. Is this the America First policy we keep hearing about, or is it Putin first? The meeting deteriorated so badly that Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz had to ask Zelenskyy to leave. Imagine being kicked out of the White House because the president couldn't handle a conversation without throwing a fit. It's like a toddler screaming, "You're not invited to my birthday party anymore."
Not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once?
Except the toddler has nuclear codes. Trump then canceled the planned press conference and peace talks. All this because Ukraine's president had the audacity to what exactly? Stand up for his country, ask for help against an invasion? The horror. Adam Schiff, never one to mince words, perfectly summarized the disaster. I can't imagine a better meeting from the point of view of Vladimir Putin. He has to be just overjoyed with this, watching the President of the United States betray Ukraine. When your diplomatic meetings are being described as a victory for a hostile foreign power, you might be doing this whole presidency thing wrong. This wasn't just Trump being his usual chaotic self. This was Trump actively undermining America's position on the world stage and isolating us from our allies. When the President of the United States publicly sides with Russia against a democratic ally fighting for survival, that's not a diplomatic misstep. It's a fundamental betrayal of American values. What makes this even more bizarre is that the meeting was supposed to be about finalizing a mineral rights deal. You know, actual presidential business. Instead, it devolved into a shouting match that ended with the deal being canceled. Another diplomatic victory for Team Trump, making deals and burning them down, sometimes in the same meeting. Efficiency. The real loser in this whole tantrum isn't just Ukraine, it's America's standing in the world. As Adam Schiff pointed out, this is not who we are. We don't bully an ally. We don't take the side of a dictator. While Trump throws his little fits, world leaders are watching in shock as American values get tossed in the garbage faster than Trump's Diet Coke cans. What's especially troubling is how Trump is demolishing decades of bipartisan support for Ukraine. Schiff recently attended the Munich Security Conference where Republicans and Democrats stood united behind Ukraine, something our orange nightmare seems determined to destroy. The only person popping champagne these days is Putin, who must be laughing his KGB head off watching America undermine its own allies. When America abandons its principles just to satisfy one man's ego, we're not just hurting Ukraine, we're hurting ourselves. Democracy used to mean something before the orange turd started flushing our values down his gold-plated toilet.